Hi, I'm Jim with Speedy Home Buyers, and this is a video about being a property scout for Speedy Home Buyers. So why does Speedy Home Buyers need property scouts? Well, you wouldn't believe it, but all the houses that are for sale or quote for sale aren't necessarily listed with a realtor or have a sign out in front. So what we need to do is identify houses that are potentially have a motivated seller, and what we've experienced is houses that are vacant or abandoned sometimes will have a motivated seller. So the property scout can give us the identify a house that is vacant or abandoned or a motivated seller situation, and we'll contact the seller if we can to talk about purchasing that property or make them an offer. So our small company doesn't have unlimited time to drive around neighborhoods and write down the addresses of vacant properties, and so that's why we want to recruit property scouts and compensate them for the effort of pointing out these properties that are vacant or abandoned.
Okay, so let's talk about what a vacant abandoned property house looks like and what it doesn't look like. So I have a presentation deck here to show, and here's the list for target properties. So what are the characteristics of a target property? Well, vacant or abandoned, has high grass or is poorly maintained, it may have uncollected mail or newspapers, and it may have code citations for lack of repairs or maybe a health and safety situation. But code citations would have a posting sign posted on the front door or something like that. Not targets. Has a realtor sign is otherwise listed with a realtor for sale. Not a target is a bank-owned property, and these are typified by property management asset signs posted on the doors. And again, on these characteristics of the target property, I'll have some examples and pictures to show you here later in the deck of slides here. So not targets. The property is severely damaged and it just needs to be torn down. Or also a target is not a property that is about to be torn down and developed, because it's on the edge of or surrounded by acreage or a farm or something like that. So the important distinctions to make are, what we're looking for is seeking motivated sellers, and vacant property is just one signal or clue that there could be a motivated seller. So conversely, to make that point, an occupied property could have a motivated seller. So it's not so much that it's vacant, it's just that we're looking for motivated sellers, and keys to sometimes lead back to motivated sellers are vacant properties or abandoned properties. So the bottom line is we want to scout for motivated sellers whether a house is vacant or not. But this is about finding vacant or abandoned properties and getting that address information to Speedy so that we can take advantage of it. Okay, how to submit address information. So you want to access the Scout Property Information page at speedyscout.com. This will take you directly to the page on the website where you enter the address information. Take you a minute, and we'll get that in our database. And what we want to do on this Speedy Scout, save it in your browser favorites so you can always find it, and you should be able to remember it, right? speedyscout.com. The web page entry is preferred for both Speedy and for the Scout, because when it's directly entered into the database, it's easier to track the linkage between the Scout and the property identified, so the Scout fee can be paid if the property is purchased by Speedy. Another option to get us the information is to email it to info@speedyhomebuyermd.com, and if you're in a pinch, call the Speedy hotline at 410-567-5444 and leave the information on there, or you may we pick up and take it. So again, number one option is going to work the best, but we don't want just that website or that web form to be an obstacle for you getting information, so you can use the phone if necessary, if you're in a pinch. Okay, so this is what the web page looks like. I'll do a demonstration in a little bit, a dynamic demonstration, but you'll see the arrow to the Scout instructions, and that tells you how to interact with this page, and we can update that page as we go along. Okay, here is an example photo of what could be a vacant house. So let's check this out. Yes, this could be a vacant house. We want the address. Please send it in through the website. What about this one? Not sure, but probably. Here's a tip to keep in mind though, that if you're looking at a house and you think, hey, it's not vacant because there's a car parked in the driveway, that always isn't the case. Sometimes neighbors park in driveways of houses that are vacant to deter crime. All right, next example. All right, is this a yes, it is a target property, no, or maybe? Probably not. This is probably not a target because the damage is too extensive, and or it's obvious that this is a property that should have a motivated seller, and other investors are probably inquiring to the seller, and so it's a known quantity. What we're looking for is targeted properties that aren't well known or don't have signs on them. Okay, here's a sign posted on a door. Let's see, would this be one? If you're looking at the sign, you'll see up here code enforcement. So this is a property that's tagged because the property has an issue with it that needs to be addressed by the owner. So this is probably a target property. Go ahead and send in the address for this. How about this one? It's definitely a no. No question about it. How about this one? Hey, look at it. It's got high grass. Hey, it looks like a possibility, right? Yes, but is this fairly new house on the edge of or surrounded by a large tract of land? So the house may be awaiting a tear down, even if it's in good shape. So you have to look for that because it could be just waiting for tear down. How about these? 4 houses here. There are really nice cornices up there at the top, but no, we'll pass on these. It's just looks like a bad area of town, and there isn't any amount of money that you can put in these to get a return. How about this one? Check out the satellite dish. That's pretty awesome. This obviously is a no. Okay, here's a yes, a no. There's a no. The house is in not repairable condition. It's in a sinkhole, the one at the bottom. So that would be a no. The one at the top, yes. How about this one? Or these? That would be a no. There's just no way that you can put money into a property on a street like this and it makes any sense. So, all right. FSBOs. See a sign out in front for sale by owner? Maybe send these in, but let's talk about them. First, we want, if there's a number on the sign, go ahead and give it a call. You don't have to, but this would be the extra step that would make sense for these FSBO situations. So call the owner and ask for a price. Listen for signs of motivation. Is the property occupied? You may get to the point where you want to ask, if you're comfortable, hey, what do you do if it doesn't sell? Or what are your plans? So you're listening to them for them to say, well, I have some bills to pay, or this and that. That gives you an indication that they'd be willing to sell quickly or faster, and the motivation. So in this case, if you did this, we would be looking for more information on the property, where you would have the person on the phone, the seller on the phone, and you could ask bedrooms and baths and other things. So more information would go in on the web form on the Speedy website. And then in this particular photo, this is a pretty house, so I would tend not to call on these, because if it's a pretty house, good condition, it's occupied, they're in no hurry, they're just kicking tires or testing the market, it may not even be worth a phone call. Now, if this house was in disrepair, then more likely to give a call back to a FSBO. Another sign posted on a property, bank owned, that would be a no. And then look at this property. This is interesting. If you can see on the front door of this property, there are postings. You see this often in some houses that look like they're abandoned or vacant. So what's on and upon further review, you look at the posting and it says house has been winterized, and this looks like a bank-owned property, so that wouldn't be one of interest. How about this one? Same situation, we got a posting on the door, but this one says ordinance violation. So this would be a code violation, and there may be a motivated seller behind that, so we would want to get that address information, send that through the website, and we'll follow up on it. So probably. Another one, which is health department citation. Yes, unless the property has no roof or walls or is extensively damaged. So we're interested in those. All right, the online form demonstration here at speedyscout.com. When you dial up that email address, you'll get this page. And we want to do is follow the instructions up here in the top, but generally what we want to do is for the first name, for the scouts, when you're submitting the address, put in scout in the first name field, and then put your full name in the last name field. So if you're Sam Adams, you're going to put your name here. We want to put your phone number, scout phone, into the contact information, and then also in the your situation field, we want to put here entered by scout, your name. And then you want to put other information in here that you may feel is pertinent or interesting. You'll complete the address as necessary, and then you'll see that the required fields are in yellow. So just hit those. It should only they're not too much information you're asking here. Just hit those fields, and you also see that they're required here. If you don't know the bedrooms and baths, which you may not because you just have the address, just put in zeros. And then all the way down to the form. Again, make your way through these. Put in, zeros and question marks to get all the way down to the bottom, and then hit submit form, and we'll get that, be able to track that in our database. So what's important that you put your name here in this field is because if we end up getting a call from the seller, then we'll swap out the seller's name here in these fields, and then in order to keep track of this, to make sure that the scout can get their fee paid, we want to keep that information in here. So make sure you put it in there. So that's a demonstration of the form. Also, if you're taking pictures, you can put in, your Google Drive or Dropbox link to the photos so that we can see them. And just a simple street view photo would be fine. So that's the form. Summary. So scout for properties, but understand that it is motivated sellers that are the target. So it doesn't mean it's not only vacant properties, but it's, hey, if you hear a whisper or hear something of a motivated seller, then we'd like to have that information along with the property. Collect the address and property information. Take pictures if possible on a street view. Enter the property at speedyscout.com. and then Speedy will make the best efforts to purchase the property. So the caveat is not all vacant properties have a motivated seller. It could take a handful of addresses to find a motivated seller and purchase the property, but it could also be the third or fourth address provided. So understand that not all sellers are excited or motivated about selling their property. So that concludes this video, and thank you for watching. Like Speedy Home Buyers on Facebook. That would be great, and thanks for considering being a Speedy Property Scout, and hope to work with you here in the next weeks and months. Thank you.